I've owned my used Model 3 now for 3 months, and in that 3 months I've done 5,000 miles. In that 5,000 miles, there's a few things I like and there's a few things I dislike, and there's a few things I didn't even expect. One being the efficiency. The efficiency of this car has absolutely blown me away. I was expecting 3.8 miles per kilowatt hour. Yes, we are in the summer and it has been a mild summer, especially in Scotland as well, where I live. But I've been getting over 5 miles per kilowatt hour and sometimes touching 6 as well, and even over 6. Now, my driving is always 50 to 60 miles per hour. It's not in town, it's not in city, it's always on rural roads. But I am occasionally stuck behind lorries, tractors, slow moving traffic doing 40 to 50 at a steady pace. So that's my sort of driving. But the efficiency of this car has absolutely blown me away. And compared to the Cupra Formentor plug-in hybrid, what I used to own before this, it blows it out of the water. It really does. For context, my electric bill charging the Cupra Formentor, I believe it's about 10 units to 30 units of electricity that goes into that battery per night. This gets about roughly about the same, about 13 to 15 units, kilowatt hours of electricity every night. My electric bill has not gone up at all since owning my Tesla. But my fuel bill, the Cupra Formentor, I used to put in about £120 a month in fuel, in petrol, and also obviously charge it 10 units a night, every night. So I'm actually saving myself £120 a month owning this Tesla over the Cupra Formentor. Now, I always wanted to go for the Standard Range Plus. I didn't see the need for my specific driving to have the bigger battery all-wheel drive. Yes, it's more powerful. Yes, it's got better speakers inside. Yes, it's got all-wheel drive. But I just don't want to lug around the extra weight. I just want it to be the car to be as efficient as possible, and I'm quite happy to have the standard battery because I don't do many long distances. I always do 100 miles-ish per day. And this car has actually got around about 250 miles to 256 miles to a full charge. I have actually done a trip to Perth and back, and it was about 220 miles, and I did it there and back in one go. I didn't do any sort of hypermiling. I've set the cruise control at 70 miles per hour. Where I could do 70 miles an hour, I was doing 70, and obviously where I couldn't, I wasn't. But I got there and back, and I had about 10% left, so I had about 20 miles left of battery. So 240 to 250 miles in this car is absolutely doable, and I'm really impressed with the battery range of this car. The ease of navigation. Now, we bought this car down in Preston, and obviously living in Scotland, we being me and my wife, and obviously putting it into the navigation, you just put your destination and it tells you where to stop, when to stop, and this car charges at 200 kilowatts, up to anyway. It's not as quickly as the standard, as the all-wheel drive, but it is the Standard Range Plus. So roughly about 200 kilowatts. And getting to Gretna services, 11 minutes of charge. And then getting to Perth services, another, 18 minutes, or maybe the other way around. I'll put it on screen now. But just really short, sharp bursts of charge. Like, I used to own a Nissan Leaf way before this, before the Cupra as well. And it was like 40 kilowatts charging speed, which is just so slow. This is so easy. And you can see the appeal of the Tesla network and also the Tesla navigation. It's just so easy. You just plug it into the sat nav. You can put in Nice to the sat nav and it'll tell you when to stop, where to stop, how many stalls there are. There's just no faff. Back up to the supercharger, plug it in, job done, charge me on the account, see you later. No RFIDs, no pre-organizing, no pre-loading accounts for credit. Just a very good ecosystem. Now, there were a few cosmetic things on the Tesla what I wasn't particularly happy about, but it was in warranty, so I was willing to let it pass when I bought the car. So I got in touch with Tesla services, and to be honest, I've read a few mixed reviews online of people saying they're not very good, but in my experience, I thought it was brilliant. You just request it on the app, contactless. You drop it off on the app, contactless. You can drop it off whatever time you want. So for me, the conveniency of used to having to go to a Cupra garage to then go the servicing, to then take my keys in, to stand in a queue for half an hour, to then hand my keys over to some person, to then sign all the disclaimers or whatever, the insurance, to walk out, then get the bus into town and get the bus back before the Cupra garage shut. With the Tesla, you just drop it off, click yes, dropped it off, go to work, come back whatever time you want. You can come back at 10 at night and pick it up. It's all contactless. It's all done over the app. And it's just a breath of fresh air for someone who's relatively busy in the day, and you may be too. for the servicing, it's just brilliant. So the cosmetic things, what I wasn't too happy about, the steering wheel, but I was reading online that you can get it replaced under warranty. So Tesla have actually replaced it under warranty. Brand new steering wheel, very nice. Secondary door seals. The secondary door seal, when I was doing a thorough cleaning of it about a month ago now, a proper big valet of the car. I haven't actually cleaned it since then. I noticed the secondary door seals on the passenger and the rear driver's side were sagging. So this could, over the time, let in water to the cabin, which is obviously not ideal. So again, Tesla replaces under warranty. There was one more thing as well, what I had noticed, and I wasn't actually going to get it done because it's not actually leaking any water, and that's the panel gap of the boot. Now, the panel gap of the boot is an interesting one because having experienced the Land Rover Defender, and I'm going to compare it to Land Rover Defender because it's kind of relevant, the panel gaps on the Land Rover Defender aren't particularly good either, and you can sort of adjust them and tweak them and things like that, but when you start doing that, you're never going to get it right again. So I was a bit reluctant to get Tesla to do the boot on this because it's not leaking. Yes, it looks a little bit rubbish, but I don't really care. But then I was reading up on it. There's only one power strut on the Model 3, and it's almost like a retrofit Tesla have done. They didn't used to have a power strut, a power tailgate. Now they do, so they've only put one power strut in, and this leads to, and over time this can lead to like buckling of the actual left-hand strut. So I'm a little bit concerned that the left-hand strut is slightly buckled. Now this car is still under warranty for another 8,000 miles or 3 months. So I've got plenty of time to get it into Tesla and book it in and make sure it's fine before then I take full responsibility as such for this car. And a lot of people complain about the touch screens. Like my granddad got in and he says he wouldn't even know where to start, and bless him, he wouldn't even get off the driveway. But in my experience, I don't mind a touch screen. I think it's really intuitive. It's really good software. You don't tend to fiddle around with it too much anyway. The speedo, I've just totally got used to the speedo not being in front of me, just to the side. There's that much torque in the electric motor on this car. Not crazy amounts of power, 270 odd horsepower or something like that. But it's really easy to hold the speed. So 60 mile an hour, 70 mile an hour, it's really easy to hold that speed just with tiny throttle adjustments. Yes, you can put the cruise control on, but I tend not to really use the cruise control. I tend to only use my inputs myself. But as any car, there's no car that's an absolute perfect recipe for a daily commuter. Doing 20,000 miles a year, there's limited options, and also limited options what I'm willing to pay for. So for example, I wouldn't get a BMW M4 because it's too expensive on fuel. I wouldn't do 20,000 miles a year in my Land Rover Defender because I probably would end up hating it, which I don't want because I really love my Land Rover Defender. So there's a few things. It has to be cheap. It has to be, economical. It has to be low cost of servicing, low cost of parts, etc., etc., etc. I did actually make a video of me looking at cars to buy, and it's being viewed by a whopping 50 people at time of recording. So obviously quite a crap video, but I was doing the research anyway, so I just thought I'd record it. And if you really want to be bored, you can check it out of what cars to buy for 16.5 grand in the UK. But there's obviously a few dislikes of the Tesla, and these aren't deal breakers by any means, but they are worth mentioning if you are looking to buy a Model 3 or even a Model Y. Now the ride comfort is quite firm. I would compare it to a BMW M car or a BMW M Sport trim. Now I've owned plenty of these before in my sort of driving life. I really like BMWs. I used to have an M3. I used to have a track car, which was a 325 Ti. I then had a 330. I had a 130. I had a 330D. So I've owned quite a lot of BMWs in my life. So I know the sort of comparable ride comfort or ride quality between the BMW M cars and also this Model 3. Yes, it's a little bit jiggly, and firmer ride kind of means better body roll, less body roll, more grip on the road. So when you're doing the rural roads, and basically the roads I drive on, you can carry the speed into the corners, you can take the speed out the corners. Now the current Bridgestones what are on the car, they're EV specific tyres, and I do feel they might be a little bit noisy. I'm actually not a massive fan of Bridgestones. I've had Bridgestones on my BMWs before, and I used to call them ditch finders because they tend to be a little bit tail happy. And in the wet, although they are A-rated in the wet, I'm not too sure about Bridgestones. It's not my first brand, what I would go to. My first brand would be Michelin. So when Bridgestones start to wear, they really sort of go off the cliff in terms of wet grip. And I feel this car is maybe a little bit compromised in wet grip. It's got about 5 to 6 mil of tread left on the tyres. So what I'm going to do is in December, I'm going to change it to cross climates. I'm going to keep the Bridgestones just for the summer. The cross climates are probably ideal for me in the winter because it's rural Scotland. We get a little bit of snow and ice in the winter. And this being rear wheel drive, it will be absolutely rubbish in the snow, I can guarantee it. Now, I mentioned on my first review and almost my first impressions of this car about the premium connectivity. Now, the premium connectivity is $9.99 a month. You get things like advanced Sentry mode. You can look at the cameras. It's got a camera in here. It's got a camera outside, or cameras outside. You can look at it on the app and you can have a live view of it. You also get almost effectively a car hotspot for Spotify and things like that. But what I found is that a lot of roads I drive on, the car doesn't have any signal. Now, I'm with 3 Mobile, who now use Vodafone or will use Vodafone soon as well. And I get signal everywhere where I go. And I've got 30 gig of data a month. So what I did as a tester just before the premium connectivity ended, I put it on a hotspot on the Tesla, and I got Spotify, and that's all I need. I don't need the advanced Sentry. I don't need the cameras. I couldn't care less, to be honest. I do actually use the Sentry mode in dodgy car parks, you know, tight car parks, supermarket car parks, where the car could get dinged or damaged. And this uses about 1% per hour. So actually quite a lot, I think, for just cameras. But for a few hours, I think it's fine. I wouldn't use it all day and all night, though. I think it's a bit too much. But the premium connectivity, so I decided not to take it on, save myself $9.99 a month, and just use my phone hotspot. It's perfectly good enough. 30 gig of data a month is more than enough for the car as well. Now, there's one thing I do miss, and if you've looked at any or listened to any reviews of Tesla, it's Android Auto. Now, it's not specifically Android Auto. I don't mind not having Android Auto, but the one thing I really, really miss is having WhatsApp on my screen. Now, if Tesla can update this, I really would appreciate it. Please add WhatsApp to your screen or some form of messaging to your screen, because it is a little bit annoying not having WhatsApp on my device anymore. On Android Auto, you used to get WhatsApp, you used to be able to play it, you know, loud. You used to be able to dictate back to it to then resend a message saying yes on my way home, or that's good, you know, basic messages, but it still worked fine enough. Although I would have liked a hatchback for the dogs. They seem to be happy in here. You do get the occasional smell if we've just been to the beach or something like that and the dogs are in the back, but the actual pet liner, you can take it out, you can brush it, you can put it in a washing machine. It's not a big deal. You can take it out if someone needs to get in it. You can put it in the front boot easily enough. Now, initially I had noticed that there was a lot of road rash and dirt coming up on the car as well, so I did actually put mud flaps on the car front and back, and it has really improved it. So I'd recommend anyone who has a Model 3 or a Model Y, get some mud flaps front and back on the car. You'll notice a massive difference, especially driving on more rural roads, and especially when we get the salt on the roads as well. It'll just get absolutely clattered if you don't have them on. So I mentioned doing 20,000 miles plus a year is quite limited in terms of what I can actually own, you know, practically. So in my case, I just see this Tesla as white goods. If it gets to 180,000 miles, if it gets to 200,000 miles, I'll be really happy. If it gets over that, I'll be absolutely ecstatic. If I can get this car to 250k, I'll be absolutely over the moon. If I can get it to 500, even better, but I doubt it. 200,000 miles, you know, it's got 42 on it just now. I'll be happy with that. I don't see me replacing this car. It's been everything what we need. It does its job. It's economical. It's cheap to run. Doesn't really cost anything in servicing because it doesn't really need servicing. It's a really convenient car. And if you can get over the Tesla brand, and a lot of people can't, I just see it as a car. It goes from A to B. It's white goods. It's a dishwasher. It's a, you know, washing machine, whatever. Plenty more miles to go in this Tesla. If you are looking to buy a Tesla, check out the referral code, what I put in the link below. If you are looking for an overnight tariff, check in the link below again. You get £50, I get £50. So I'm away to go and fix my injectors on my Ford now. So I'll see you next time.